When we talked to you a couple of weeks ago, we asked you a lot of questions about other guys, but I'm just kind of curious, what are some of the things that you have been working on since the end of the season to improve your game, and how much progress have you made actually improving your game?
Well, I wanted to work with being better in coverage in our wick coverages when we're wicking the inside receiver. Most of the time, it's someone who's quick, shifty, like a Josh Downs or like a Daz Newsome. I wanted to get a lot better in my coverage and communicating with the backside boundary safety more in some of our coverages because really out of all the coverages and some of the calls we have, sometimes the boundary safety, like I know where most people are doing, but most of the time I'm a little confused sometimes with the boundary safety, and sometimes we have to communicate. So I think me working with my coverage and getting my coverage better and communicating with the backside boundary safety and some of our coverages that I wanted to improve on. And I think I improved on that just by sitting down and meeting with the boundary safeties because I'm sitting there in film and I'm looking at some coverages, reading it. And I can't really understand it unless I have a boundary safety like in there watching the tape with me. So I think having Gio, Don Chapman, Jake Quares is Conley's moving back to boundary safety. Just having them in there talking with me and letting them know what they're doing in certain coverages is helping me.
Just curious also, when you talk about things like that, you kind of sound a little bit like a coach. Do you have coaching maybe in your plans in the future?
Oh, I would love the coach. Yeah, if NFL didn't work out, or if I don't spend a long time in the league, I would love to come back and be around football.
Well,
And I
thank you.
think
Appreciate
being in this defense, we run everything. We run every front, we run every coverage. So I think I'm learning along the way. So if I wanted to get in coaching, I think what I'm doing right now is definitely helping.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that.
Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Jeremiah. Max has informed us that you're doing your individual work and some position drills, but when it comes to the actual team drills, they pretty much got you on the sideline to let some of the younger guys get reps. From your vantage point on the sideline, kind of what are some impressions for you of how the defense is looking and maybe who's standing out?
To me all the young guys and everybody are. Today we just got done. This was the best defensive practice we've had this spring. We were great throughout the whole practice, and things I've seen this spring and just throughout these practices that I can tell a difference from past defenses and ones I've been over during spring. People are getting to the ball, like nobody's loafing on film, and I think that's like maybe when Matt came in a couple of years prior, like that's something we had a problem with. Like people, even on 7-on, like if there's a deep ball, like a linebacker standing there looking at the ball, we don't have any of that anymore. Everybody's sprinting to the ball, everybody's energetic, and I think that's something that a lot of people like take for granted. Like a lot of times, like a lot of plays burst because sometimes the player's not always getting to the ball, and that's not the case with Carolina the way we're looking at practice right now.
And I wanted to ask you specifically about Kamon Rucker. I know he's playing both outside linebacker and end. What stood out to you about him?
Oh man, he's having a great spring. He's just taking steps and steps forward, and in the run game, but also in the passing game when we have to drop our rushes and they have to cover. I seen him drop 25, 30 yards the other day and took an over route to help a corner who was locked on the backside. And that's stuff like, that's steps ahead where he was from the season. So, he's going to be a great player for her. He's going to play a lot more snaps than he did last year. And he's an every down guy. He can rush, get to the passer. And some people look at him. He's a little bit smaller than some of our outside backers and a little bit smaller than our D linemen. But when he's in a 4-eye or he's outside playing a 9-tech, he's really good at setting at edge and staying thick and not moving his body. So, I can't say enough about Kamon Rucker. He keeps getting better and better each practice.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, Jacob Turner.
Hey, Jeremiah. Have you had a chance to go up and play a lot of snaps against, Jacoby Criswell and Drake May? And if so, what have you kind of noticed from those two guys and maybe some things that they do well in particular?
Well, what I can say about both of them, the ball jumps off their hand. When they're throwing their deep balls and they're throwing it 55 yards, 60 yards down the field, it looks effortlessly. I mean, I can say that about all our quarterbacks. Great arm, great ball placement. They were running satellite routes today where the number 2 receiver would stem in and then run outside the numbers, and they were putting the ball perfectly over the shoulder, dropping it in the bucket. And I mean, great QB room, and I think Drake's just now really getting to comprehend really like what Longo wants out of certain personnel and certain groups, whether if they're running jet and they have 2 backs in the backfield, or if they're running empty and they have no tight ends and it's all spread out. So I think he's coming along well, and Criswell is definitely taking steps.
Do you see any similarities between Sam and Criswell in particular? I mean, I know I saw them at practice kind of standing beside each other a few weeks back, and they almost look like identical in, body type and height and stuff like that.
Kind of, the same. What I can see from both of them, like either I'm going against Sam or whether I'm going against Jacoby, they have really good awareness, like with their cadence and with the clap they have. They're reading the whole line. They're reading outside backers. They're reading the safety. So like if anybody gives like a little tip off, if we're blitzing, like creeping a little bit, Criswell immediately checks the play and gets out. I don't know if that's something I could have said like when he came in. I think that's something he's taken taken a step in, is reading the defense and really seeing like where the blitzes are coming from and what calls he needs to check into.
Thanks, man.
Okay, Ross Martin.
Hey, Jeremiah. I was wondering if you could give me like 4 or 5 names, or maybe 3 or 4 names of defensive players or offensive players that are really standing out. I know you mentioned Kamen Rucker already, but just guys, it could be young or even older guys who are just really standing out this spring.
If I had to give you my 5 right now throughout these practices, I'm gonna give you Josh Downs. Josh Downs is looking great in practice, and he's battling through like a little bum ankle, and he still looks great speed, great cuts in and out. I think he's going to be a great receiver for us this year. I mean, you saw glimpses of it in the Texas A&M, and he's a guy. I mean, I'm looking at him right now. He's staying after practice. He's catching balls, working with Sam, working with Jacoby. I think he's going to be great for us, and he's really showing out this spring. Kamen Rucker, obviously, like I said, and Jalil. I can say Jalil Taylor and both Clyde Pender have both taken big steps. Jalil's lost about 25 pounds, and you can see it on tape, like when we're in certain fronts and he has to cut the ball off, his first step and first 2 steps are so much quicker than when he was a little bit heavier than I think he's down like to 300, maybe 295, 300 to be able to cut off plays. Before he was about 320, 325, and he couldn't move as well. And I mean, Jalil, Clyde, Josh, Kamen, and one more, I would have to say DeAndre Hollins. That man's since the start of spring, I feel like he's really been battling to try to get in there and be one of our top corners, and he's battling to try to be that starting corner out there. And to say through spring, he's getting better every day. He's had a couple picks today on 7-on-7 and team. So, I mean, I keep seeing great stuff from him. I think he's going to improve for us, and I think we're going to have a good problem at corner this year. I mean, we're going to be able to have multiple corners who can go out there and play, give each other breaks. And I don't think that like previous seasons, I don't think we could say that we could rotate corners like we can this year with DeAndre.
Great. Thanks, man. That was awesome.
All right, over to Dina King.
Hey, Jeremiah, what are your thoughts and observation of the running backs? A new group, who's been standing out for you?
They all have like their own little specialty. Like Josh Henderson's so balanced. His routes are good. He's good in between the tackles, outside the tackles, and open space. Caleb Hood is probably going to be one of our power backs along with British Brooks, who can put his shoulders down, get low, and he has really good balance, bouncing off blocks in the hole. I mean, DJ Jones, I mean, it's a battle for that running back spot. And I think that's why we're seeing so much jet in practice from the offense, because the backs are stepping up, doing a great job. And I think Coach Longo might be implementing a little bit more two-back stuff since we have so many backs we use. And I think Ty from Tennessee, he's just our every down back. I think he's going to be our scat back out of the backfield when we want to go 5 out and we want to spread the field out and have him coming out of the backfield fast and low. I mean, the running back room has been great. I mean, along with the corners, that's a good problem that we're going to be able to have.
All right, last one for Jeremiah comes from CL Brown.
Hey, Jeremiah, I was wondering what you've seen from Storm Duck, just kind of, him dealing with trying to get healthy enough to get back out there full speed. Have you offered any words of encouragement? Like, has he, been even killed the whole time? Have you noticed any frustration out of him?
That's the thing with Storm. You're going to get the same Storm Duck you see every single day. Like, he's not going to be fazed by anything. He's not going to bite down to anybody. He's going to be the same player that you see every single day. And yeah, he's kind of taking it like me. Like when I'm not doing reps, he might, like when we're going for a team, he might just do 2 plays and then come out and rest and then do 2 more plays and then come back out. But what I've seen from him is like he's talking with the corner, he's doing what he has to do. And when he's been in, he's been making plays and doing what he's had to do when he's been out on the field.